chaud bouillant.
Hello à tous, eh bien me revoilà en direct pour une autre session du soir, puisque l'idée en fait en parallèle des lives Hotline Café où je fais du café avec vous chez vous et on essaie d'améliorer un peu des choses, le mercredi soir à 19h, donc pour les semaines qui viennent, je vais plutôt lancer des discussions sur les backstage du café, et donc ce sont vraiment des discussions ouvertes avec des semi-professionnels ou des professionnels, mais sur des sujets parfois un peu sensibles. Et donc, voilà, on va un peu partager des opinions. Et puis, chaque discussion, j'espère qu'on en apprendra tous un peu plus ça lui arriverait sur ce qui se passe un petit peu dans l'industrie du café, mais on va dire en backstage. Voilà, donc ce soir pour ce premier chaud bouillant, c'est le thème c'est le nom de ces discussions en direct le mercredi soir à 19h. Pour ce premier numéro, on va recevoir Ali Youssefi. Ali qui est torréfacteur pour Mock Coffee, qui est donc une micro-torréfaction basée à Louvain et qui a un coffee bar à Louvain et à Bruxelles. D'ailleurs, Mock fait partie du Coffee Tour du bas de la ville que j'organise régulièrement. On verra pour la suite d'ailleurs avec les nouvelles mesures. Et donc on va faire ça en anglais ce soir. Et je vois qu'Ali nous rejoint. Alors, petit bug, est-ce qu'Ali nous rejoint? En attente, connexion. 3, 2, 1. Hey Ali,
Hey, Thomas.
how you doing?
Good, good. And you? How's it going with you?
I'm okay. It's been a while. I just had you on the phone 5 minutes ago to prepare this.
Yeah, yeah, I also felt it.
So, but welcome to this very first episode of a discussion series about the backstage of coffee. As I was introducing Chaud Bouillant, it's the name of the talks I initiate on Wednesday evening, and this one is the first one. The idea is to talk about coffee and share knowledge, maybe opinions to a certain extent, but in trying to learn a few stuff about the coffee industry on many sides. So, voilà.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, actually.
It's my pleasure. But maybe Ali, you can introduce yourself. Yeah, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, okay. My name is Ali. I'm working as a roaster and Mocha Specialty Coffee Roastery. I started my career around 7 years ago in coffee in Tehran, my city home, and I started as a barista, and it took me a while to actually complete my knowledge as a barista, and I started being a barista trainer, and then shop manager, and then R&D manager in my company, and then I moved to another company as a research assistant, and after that I moved to here to Brussels, and in Brussels I started my coffee career in Velvet Coffee, and then Or, and now I'm at Mock.
Wow.
Yeah, long way, right?
Yes.
And
but
yeah, that's it.
How did you? So, what are you doing right now at Mock? You roasting coffee?
Yes, I'm mostly roasting coffee, but I also work in the bar in Brussels, in the Rue Antoine Tonsard.
Yes.
And did you like my accent?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
super cute.
Yeah,
Rue Antoine Tonsard.
Yeah. And yeah, actually tomorrow also I'm working, so pass by, everyone, try to pass by, and let's have a talk. It's kind of catastrophic because of the situations and measures about COVID-19. So we only have to serve takeaway coffees. Well, that's all right. People are actually understanding and
Supporting.
things are going quite smooth. Yeah. It's quite nice. Yeah.
Cool. So I have a first question. How did you get into specialty coffee? Because I guess we all have a a story where we had our first encounter with specialty coffee before, sorry, I have a mosquito, before knowing anything about coffee. So what was your first encounter with specialty coffee? Like what struck you also?
Well, the first encounter with specialty coffee was actually the time that I started to go to SCA classes and courses, just to get
Yeah,
to
but
know more
wait,
about coffee.
no, no, I interrupt you because if you go to SCA classes, you already heard about it. Do you remember the
Oh yeah,
first?
you mean the first the
Yes.
first time that I got interested in.
Were you a bit
Um,
like, what is this? What makes it different? Like,
Oh, okay. The first time it was a coffee competition that
okay.
I mean it had been almost a month that I was a barista, and then my colleagues they started talking about the barista competition and so on, and I went there as a like as an audience just to take a look how it looks like and so on, and I heard a lot of people talking about different coffees, also baristas that were presenting their coffees, and it was a lot of information. I was like, okay, quite complicated. I need to know more about it. And I started reading about the specialty coffee. In the beginning, I didn't have a lot of resources and so on, but then afterwards, it was I actually needed to improve my English language, and then I started reading in English and watching videos and so on. And then afterward, what was really important to me was the tasting coffee, because normally in Iranian coffee culture, what you know about coffee, the background or like the stereotype of coffee used to be like dark black, like really inferior roast and
Well, Ali, if it's the
and
same story a bit everywhere, right? So if I can reassure
yeah,
you,
like,
it's
okay.
mostly the same in Belgium. So
Yeah, but like, I mean, no offense, a lot of people they like it, but then I personally tasted the specialty coffee, a bit lighter roasted, um, and I liked it. It was acidic, and it had a lot of different attributes. It had a lot of really different layers, and I personally really liked it. And I was like, okay, it seems that I have a lot of things to do with it. So I kind of shifted my career and uh, my let's say my interest in coffee, and I started focusing on learning more and more about coffee and make things happen.
was the specialty coffee scene a thing back in Tehran or in Iran at the time, or it was really a small niche, or it was getting popular? What was the scene at the
It was
time?
getting popular. It was getting
Okay.
popular because it started with this wave of SCA classes, back then SCAE classes, and we had like a lot of world champions. They came to Iran. They had like they gave courses, they gave classes and so on, and people got to know more and more about specialty coffee. And then Instagram, social media, everything helped everyone to just jump into everything and then look at the things. And also with all this new ideas and niches in the market, everybody started to get inspired and do stuff. And yeah, it at the end it became a thing, and it is still a thing. Now there are a lot of new roasteries opening up in Iran, um, despite this huge economic problems and so
Yes.
on. But people are trying to follow their dreams and do their stuff, to do what exactly they like and so on. So I see that booming, and but I'm always quite honored to to say I was part of it. I mean, I got to know stuff when things were about to start, and I know a lot of people there. It's an honor. A lot of I have a lot of good friends over there. Knowing about coffee, we have really a lot of knowledgeable people in Iran, and that's really nice.
And I have another question because you started as a barista and then you shifted somehow to become a roaster.
I
And
started actually as a kind of dishwasher. I mean, not a dishwasher, the machine itself,
okay.
because yeah, that's kind of weird. But I started my career because it was like I liked to work in a coffee bar, and I had no expertise. And I started working there, and they were like, "Okay, you stay in there, wash dishes for now because it's rush time, and you cannot help at all." And I was like, just washing dishes and looking at them how they're working. The workflow was like crazy, and uh, and yes, that was the beginning. So
Yeah, but the real
sorry
question
to
behind
interrupt you.
this is because becoming a barista to me is really a profession that is meant to be towards the customers, like very to be more like talkative and answer questions. Where roasting coffee is for me more like, I mean, to make a very cliche, I would say to me I was a barista because I'm pretty much extroverted, but I wouldn't be happy to roast coffee because I would feel so desperately alone with my beans all day long. Was this something natural to you to shift, being able to shift between being a barista and working with people, and then and still up to today, and be able also to work on your own in a more lonely context, I guess, as a roaster?
Um, that's I actually like it to be to be a roaster because the process is long enough and you have a lot of things to do to improve the quality and to make things actually happen. And and then combining that with some barista shifts at the bar is a really good feeling. The coffee that you receive, you see in the beginning, and then you hear all the stories from the importers and producers about the coffee, and then you roast them, and you think about it, and you adjust the roast profiles, and then you serve the exact coffee. It's like
That's
it
really
like
cool, actually. Yeah,
yes,
you get to serve the
it
coffee you
is a
roast,
real.
which is really I didn't think about it. It's a really good
I'm
point.
actually serving that part of geeky inside of myself when I'm roasting, and when I'm at the bar, I'm still serving that geeky inside of myself, and also serving people because
Yes.
yeah, I mean, like every single shot that you're making, you need to keep it in mind that okay, is this coffee good? And at the same time, you need to think that is this exact customer happy or not? And then you need
Yes.
to talk to them, you need to keep them happy and satisfied, and service is in general is a really hard um, concept to implement in a coffee bar because there are a lot of different people, and you also know that okay, in Brussels there are a lot of internationals, also there are a lot of different languages and so on, so keeping a lot of people with different
Backgrounds.
backgrounds and different cultures, it's actually quite hard, but I like this challenge. It is
Yeah.
quite nice.
Cool. But so yeah, I guess it can be a nice feeling to have a direct feedback from the beans you roast by serving it and bring it to the client. So definitely. And I'm thinking about this because earlier today I had the opportunity to follow a discussion series mapping the journey of coffee actually. And there were like exporters speaking about what they're doing. And the week before, the SCA was speaking with producers and processors. And I guess one of the feedback they had is they're not really connected to the end consumer because they really act earlier in the coffee chain. Um, Speaking of which, you just mentioned that
you by roasting, you also in touch with a lot of stories with coffee and a lot of stuff like that. Can you tell me a bit more about what information do you have access by working at Mock and importing company? Do you buy coffee for Mock, or is it Jens buying coffee, or up to what point do you have access, and what is important to you as information when you roast coffee?
Um, okay, that's a kind of broad question because uh, I didn't get the exact question, but yeah, I would say it's been always a challenge to connect different chains of this value chain to the end consumer. I mean, downstream and upstream, it's really hard to keep them connected about their challenges, about their lives, and so on. I'm
Ali,
gonna
you
leave.
won't believe it, but Goli is calling me.
Oh my God. Say hi to her.
But yeah, I will. Sorry to interrupt, but this is too way over the top. So Goli is one of my best friends in New York City, and Ali, you introduced us. You advised me to meet her.
Yeah.
So sorry, she was just calling right now, which is crazy. I think she's not following the live, but I will call her back afterwards, of course. So sorry for this interruption, but it had to be done.
Nice
Yes.
coincidence. Uh, okay.
So what I
Yes.
mean is, what kind of information do you have access as a specialty coffee roaster? What is up to, where can you go in terms of information about the producer or the cooperative, or what is meaningful to you?
Okay, but it really depends in my opinion, because in mock, or like I would say in a lot of different specialty coffee roasteries, the effort is mostly on finding right people to get a really good quality coffee. And it finding the right people is really important. Doesn't matter where in value chain you're working, but you need to have the same value to talk about, and then good quality coffee is gonna come. So that's really important, because you need to have different the same values. um, in different countries there are different ways of buying coffee, different origins. I mean, if you want, for example, if you, hey Goli, if you want to go to, for example, Kenya, this is almost the only way to buy coffee from cooperatives. And for example, on other countries, for in Central America, you could probably be able to find the farmer who is doing the processing himself, and then he has also, by chance, or like this, that's a really hard work to do, also export certificate, and then he can export it himself and so on, or herself. In our case, we have a lot of Colombian female producers, which we are really happy working with them at Mock. And it's a really nice story. Like, we are working with the Kata Coffee in Colombia, and they're actually getting coffee from a lot of different small producers, which are women as well, and really nice. But yes, it really depends, in my opinion, to get to know the story of the coffee in different origins. And a lot of people, they have different point of view. A lot of producers, I mean, producers and farmers and exporters, they have different point of view when we are talking about coffee. If you want to get a sample from a producer or an importer, you're gonna have different type of information coming to you. And that's quite nice. I really like it. But then you will start to kind of generalize the type of information you get. And then if you like the coffee, you need to get back to them and ask the question, because producers normally, they have this charted information based on like the experience with different roasters in Europe or different countries. So they give it. And then if you have other questions, you need to ask the question. But in like for example, on the other hand, talking about informations coming in this stream, when you get in touch with importers, it's going to be a bit harder to get the right answer for your question, because they need to get in touch with that producer if they know them, if it's not again a cooperative they're buying the coffee from. And then imagine how possible it is that the information gets lost during this
But
process.
yeah, this is a question that because the point of this discussion is to share a bit what we know, and I realized that I know pretty much nothing of what happens before the beans are, you know, in a roastery. I'm not a roaster myself, so I was more really on the training side. But following the discussion today, also I realized so they were introducing. Uh, let's say boutique exporters working directly with producers actually, and I just realized that I never understood that you need an exporter on the producing country and an importer on the roasting country, let's put it like that, and that both of them have a role to play in the transparency chain and gathering information, but also taking risks financially depending on how they work, on buying the crops to the producer no matter what, selling it to commodity if there is a problem in terms of quality. And to be honest, I realized that there are so many practices that most of the time, even myself, I'm getting a bit confused to understand what information is reliable when it comes to communication around coffee. You see what I mean? So a lot of roastery will advertise, hey, we do specialty, hey, we do direct trade, hey, we care about the people, hey, this and that. And then you have a lot of information now coming up because everybody sees the opportunity to communicate on a specialty coffee mode. Do you have any tips on how, for instance, would be for you a way to rely on information, or it's really a discussion to have every time with the roaster that themselves have a discussion with the importer? How do you have any advice on how to, you know, rely on something in that jungle of information? Maybe not, I don't know, it's really an open question.
Well, but I do believe it's a time matter. Like even for coffee, for a good coffee, you need to wait a year for cultivation. I mean, for the cherries to be ripe, and then pick them, and then right processing, and then storage. It takes a while, and that to find right people, as I mentioned before, it's also the matter of time. You need to work with people. You're looking for a good quality. You start working with people, and you need to educate yourself. This is this sector of, I mean, a specialty coffee in coffee industry is a niche sector, still quite young, and we all need to educate ourselves in different aspects. I mean, economically, I mean, economics, the knowledge behind coffee processing, roasting, and so on and so on. You need to educate yourself and then ask questions which serves your thirst of knowing stuff. And then when you find the right people, you're gonna keep working with them. This
But
is
as Ali, as an end consumer, do you think it's possible? Because I guess you're talking more about like being in the coffee industry, but as an end
as a
consumer,
roaster.
yeah, but as an end consumer, is there an easy way to be able to rely on information and to understand that some information are not maybe the reality that is behind what is said? Do you think there is a way to be able to understand that?
Well, there are some ways that in the future is gonna make it easier, but normally it should come from the roaster or the coffee bar you're buying coffee from. So if you care about the quality, if you care about the transparency, if you care about how ethical the product you're buying, um, you need to ask questions, and then you will understand if this information are coming from a confident point of view or they are just copied.
Okay.
But in the future, because of all this technologies coming on, blockchain, 5G internet, and traceability is going to be much more handy, and then so on and so on. Then it's gonna make it will be a thing in the future to talk about right information. But at the moment, if you go, if you're a consumer, and then you're going to buy coffee in a coffee bar, you want to take a takeaway coffee, and go to your work, it's gonna take a long time to ask question and think about it if it is true or not. You want a good coffee, so it
Yeah.
first starts with a good quality coffee, and then you will start to know more about it and care more about it. It's more or less the same in everything. I mean, even in here now with all this biological food hubs and so on, that's kind of the same. You try a product, it is really fresh, it is really tasty, biological, you try it, and then you start to know more about it, and you ask more questions about it, and then suddenly in the future you're gonna find yourself, oh, I'm not gonna buy it from this specific food hub anymore because it didn't serve my thirst of information. It didn't give it, kind of, I don't know. Now there are different terms that, like, you could say greenwashing and so on and so on. So it's a long run matter, in my opinion. You cannot start a collaboration or a partnership in the business with 100% trust, and it continues exactly with like 100% trust. You need to start with trust, but then you need to ask questions because it's a partnership. It doesn't have anything to do. You have some realities, and you're working for some values, you know.
Another question, like as being a roaster in the specialty coffee industry, maybe for the people who watches this and don't know much about the coffee industry, is for instance, organic or ethical label coffee something in the specialty industry? Do you work with those labels for the coffee you roast?
I personally hardly believe in that. And that's a really long talk, if I want to explain why. But as you know, giving certificates is a way of bringing on this state of legitimacy in the industry, which I think specialty coffee already passed this stage. And asking money to give certificates to sell a product for a higher price, I don't think is a sustainable way of producing a commodity. That's my idea. I mean, it was really hard to actually shrink it in one
In one
sentence,
sentence?
but
Oh my God, Ali, this is it.
But yeah, you know me. You know that if I start lecturing, I'm not gonna stop. But yeah, I think it's pretty much it, that we need to care about the real things going on in the industry other than some labels and so on. Okay, some people, they're working really hard in the origin to get some certificates like organic or bioorganic or whatever, and I do care about that. I appreciate it, but quality in specialty coffee has another type of evaluation system than organic. It's nice, you can have organic material, and most of the specialty producers, they are kind of organic, but this bullet points to become an organic producer, I do believe is a bit naff in a way. Just to meet all those requirements, it's not something really practical. I mean, in some countries, you need to make sure that all your neighbors farm. I mean, all the farms in neighboring you, they are also organic and so on, and which makes it better. I totally get the bullet point. I mean, the scientific idea behind it. In some microclimates, it is a thing. You need to make sure because they're connected and interconnected, but it makes it a bit harder. And are people paying? Actually, it makes it more porous to be corrupted to get those certificates and so on. Yeah, that's my idea.
Okay.
And yeah, I personally don't really care about that. I mean, I do appreciate if there are certificates, but as long as the quality is good.
Yes, but so yeah, to me it's always interesting to compare to other industry. And yesterday, is it Jens? Yeah, and Roman also. Hi, Roman. I've seen yesterday a live on another feed about you know, like a wine guy, and he was talking about the natural wines, which is, you know, a big trend in wines. But he was saying that natural wine is not, as far as I understood, an official label. And we have kind of the same thing in coffee, right? It's not, specialty coffee is not a label. So that's why also a lot of people can advertise specialty coffee, and the definition might get a little tricky at some point because there's no real definition set in stone, or at least a label that would confirm anything. But at the same time, it gives a lot of freedom to what people should do, and maybe to have this trust relationship to understand how the coffee is grown and what is the use of pesticide and components like that. But it's always interesting for me to compare to other industry, because I get the a lot much more understanding. And also one of the question I raise a lot, it's also about the ethic labels. Because the same in the wine industry, I never get to drink ethical wine, because it seems that the transparency is so strong in wine that you get to know the producer or the domain or the chateau or whatever. So the question of being fair to hidden producer or to a good that is traded in the stock exchange doesn't come into consideration for wine, where for coffee, I don't know, it seems like, okay, it's in the stock exchange and it's normal, but it makes it by definition a very complicated product. I'm talking here about commodity coffee, of course, and not specialty that goes out of the stock exchange, as far as I understand. But yeah, so I guess in the coffee industry, there are a lot of stuff to still be debate about, many kind of labels compared to other industries who came over those labels. But I guess
Yeah,
natural
that's
is
true.
close to organic. Natural wine is maybe close to organic wine, but not exactly the same. But yeah.
But natural wine, you definitely need to talk with Jens and Jocasta. I don't have a lot of knowledge about that, but pretty much the same. You're right. The most important thing is, as far as I can say now, is the power dynamic and how you maintain it as a member of this industry. So as a coffee buyer, you need to maintain yourself in a position that you are not bullying a person as a producer. So the power dynamic is important, and it became a kind of convention in the market because of C prices and conventional way of buying coffee, mass production, and so on and so on. But having a fair, ethical product is all about the power which is distributed properly in the industry. In wine industry, wine sellers and wine producers, they have pretty much power in the industry for bargaining than coffee producers. in a
Of course,
specialty coffee.
they have a voice, which in
They
coffee
have more
often they don't
knowledge.
have a voice. Yeah.
Here it is. And that's I think the real problem in a specialty coffee, and in different countries, because of a lot of reasons. I mean, financially or not, and cultural sakes or not, and so on and so on. But I think that it's going to become a challenge soon, or for me it is a challenge for the moment, to find a way um, to make a good collaboration, good partnership, and good communication with the producers and the importers, to get to know right people who care about that.
Do you think when you talk about having a voice, knowledge, and transparency, I guess that probably the coffee as starting as a commodity to be grown is kind of related to colonization in a way. When we see how the coffee was exported in the coffee belts, it followed quite the colonization. Do you think we can say that specialty coffee is a way of decolonizing the business model of coffee, how it started as a commodity? It's heavy words, I know, but it's kind of, when you think
That's a
about
big
it,
claim. That's a big
yes.
claim. Normally in specialty coffee, you could find a lot of people who are alternative
Mm-hmm.
and kind of intellectual people, and they don't like this colonization and so on, and they're trying to do that. But again, the problem is from upstream, and a really small business, a small specialty coffee business can have these type of values, but then at the end, it needs a collective work to get things done, because it is still quite connected to its roots. I mean, the concept of buying coffee from origins or exporting coffee from origins, because because of most of the coffee origins, they used to be colonized, and they are still working based on those type of mindsets. Um,
What I'm saying is
but
it's more the buying process, huh? That is kind of still kind of a, way of I don't know how to phrase this in English, but it's kind of the continuation as putting those commodities in the sea market. It makes
yeah,
it a very struggling thing to grow and to live on. So to me, there is definitely a way of doing business that it's very from an
well,
age
you
that
could
was not
see
doing good.
now a lot of businesses, they're trying to tackle, and I mean, like, cope with such challenge. Uh, as you become big and bigger as a roastery, you can start your own bargain and offer better prices, and offer premiums higher than sea market prices. So most of the coffee people, they don't believe in that. But then it needs to be quite transparent, because you're dealing with a lot of finance in between,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people, they don't know that there are a lot of different types of buying coffee with different Incoterms, like economic terms, and people don't know them, and then they think that they're paying a price for producers, which is not true.
But
You're like,
Ali, do you know, maybe you don't have an answer for that, but to me, I kind of separate a lot, like either you buy coffee to the stock exchange at a very low price, or you go for specialty at a high price for good reasons. But it seems that the frontier is not that neat in between, and there are a lot of coffee that goes in between that costs a little more but seems to still be commodity. Do you have any idea how this exists? Is there like a added value somewhere in the chain that doesn't benefit the producer but does benefit who? Do you have any idea about this? Because I don't know, and I also launched this discussion to talk about it with different people. So it's also an open question.
So from the point of view of producers, I had like a talk with a coffee producer in Brazil
Mm-hmm.
who was claiming that prices are quite connected to sea market. So as a coffee producer, you produce coffee and there is a sea market price for that. And then you say that, okay, this coffee is a specialty, and your buyers, they are actually happy with those samples as well. And then you ask a premium for that. And that premium in the market is becoming a convention, a way of treating a specialty coffee. So you start with C price. It is connected still to C price, but then you pay a premium
Okay.
to get a better quality coffee. It was my experience in Brazil, which is a really well-established um, industry to sell a coffee. I mean, they are a player in the market, but in different countries, it might be different. But to be honest, it is really important to know that there are a lot of works to be done in between that. There are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people working on accounting, on supply chain, on storages and whole and the exporting, shipment, and so on. There are a lot of work to be done, and then at the end, paying those expenses is going to become kind of invisible. You don't realize them anymore, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna forget about them, and then that's the moment you're gonna lose the transparency, because everybody could say this is the price you're paying, uh, apart from the premium you're paying for your coffee, and then you say, okay, I don't have any other choices. I'm not an importer, and you do the job. Probably it's true, and then you do that. I'm not saying all the importers are doing the same,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm saying that that's the hidden corner that nobody knows that. And that's the moment it comes to the trust and the collaboration and partnership. Because if you know your importer pretty well and how they're working, you know how transparent they are in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Because at the moment there isn't any solution for that. There isn't any technology for that to trace such product. And the prices and all the credits went through the stream. So that's kind of the way it should be done for me. I mean, it comes from value. People are working for value, high qualities, and so on and so on. You need to spend time to be
Okay.
part of it.
Um, Maybe a last questions would be, I also changed my mind on the topic, but do you think it's better to have coffee that is advertised as direct trade, or it doesn't make such a big difference as long, well, I guess I answered the question, but as long as there is trust in the chain, no matter how many people there are in between, sometimes necessary. Does it make a difference for you, or it's all about questions and traceability?
Um, but to me, the concept is all about traceability, because um, imagine you're a household and you want to buy a carrot. There isn't such a pride that you say, I went to the farm and I bought this carrot myself, and now it is more valuable. If I know that the place that I'm buying my carrots from are transparent enough, and I know the quality, I will to pay for that. Then everything is okay for me.
Yeah, okay. But wait,
Because
so
you need to pay for that. Look, at business wise, you need to outsource some ideas, which is accounting, trade, and so on. They are pain in the neck. You don't want to invest in a lot of accountants and traders and coffee buyers to have coffees, because if you have the market for that, okay, good, it's perfect. But then you cannot ask more money for that. because you're paying for that. You're doing that because of your own business. What I have problem with that, it's that this trendy, really not constructive. They're destroying the concepts, the real concept of specialty coffee and industry. Because if you say direct trade, yes, it's a good term, but as long as you behave ethically with that, you know.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I'm asking this because I see some roasteries communicating now about direct trade and selling mostly commodity coffee. So it raises to me a lot of questions about what is the truth behind, what is really the practice, and how can you do direct trade in such conditions. But Jens was asking, I guess it's Jens behind the mock profile. Do you think the blockchain technology will change that? Question. I guess you talked a bit about it, saying that the technology will bring more ease to bring transparency along the chain. But do you think the blockchain technology in particular will be a key for that?
Is that a question? Yes, we got a yes.
No, but wait, because last year I was in Boston and I followed the conference about the blockchain technology to trace coffee, or to trace anything actually. But it seems not so easy. I'm not an expert in blockchain technology, so again, it's really a complex topic to me. But it seemed that even if you build a blockchain, you need a tool to activate the blockchain idea itself. And most of the time, it seems that the people working on the tool will own the tool. So I understand the blockchain technology in a way, but it seems when I followed this conference at the end, I was like, okay, but someone is going to own the thing that will make it work, particularly for this situation. So it raised the question of the freedom in this blockchain thing. So to me, I'm very confused about it because I don't know enough, but it doesn't seem to be right away now because the technology exists. So, and it's not implemented. And also, I guess you need producer to be connected where a lot of them don't even have a bank account. So up to where can you use that blockchain technology at some point? I don't know if you have any idea about this for the coffee industry specifically.
Well, that's something I mean, nobody knows about it.
Everybody talks about it, but it's not there yet.
Because it's not implemented. I mean, if you have experience in fintech and how it's done in different countries, you could say yes, it is something doable. But in coffee industry, because it's going to be related to an industry, to a value chain, to a big supply chain, then the platform is going to have donators, and then again you're gonna have a kind of expensive platform. That's so likely to happen. But the most important thing is you own your blocks in blockchain. So your information is gonna stay your information as long as you give the permission to other people to change it.
Okay.
So in concept, it's really positive. I mean, I see a horizon for that, but that's possible that it's gonna become a really expensive platform again.
But it seems not easy to implement because those guys at that conference, I don't remember who it is, but they were connected to a lot of big names in the coffee industry to work on this. But it seems to be very complex to put in place and to have people
for those big
contribute.
names, yes.
No,
For
but
those
also to have content that makes sense and people contributing to it at different place of the coffee chain.
That's
So
also true. That's
yeah,
also true because of different countries, they have different legislations for trade, and trading materials, for trading commodity from different countries is going to be hard. And if you want to implement such technology, you need to have a platform which is broad enough to boil all the legislation in, you know, to accept it for each product. This product should be compatible to that platform in terms of information and legislations. You started it. Don't do that. You asked the question.
No, yes, ask the questions.
No, but yeah, like, yes,
We're not
it
there
is
yet.
quite
Okay.
complicated. It is complicated, yes.
So yeah, and you know, like I'm still really with those SCA discussion because to me, I'm learning so much from there. But I saw the stream about the people, the different actors in the coffee chain, and the main ones are here being farming, processing, exporting, importing, roasting, and brewing. But all around, there's so many others that sometimes we have no idea as an end consumer. So I guess we won't get to the core of this today because we only have 9 minutes left according to Instagram. But definitely the discussion will continue. And so I want to say that next week we're going to have Rutger from Wide Awake. I'm still securing someone for the week after. And then the week after, we're going to have Catherine, ex-Coupelot and Or Coffee, who has an extensive experience in importing coffee also. So, Ali, thanks. If anyone has a question, shoot it now because we're about to end. And what can I wish you for 2021? Because 2020 was maybe not the best year, but
Well, I try to stay positive.
yes, well, like we all do, I guess.
I mean, I'm serving coffee tomorrow at Mug, so everybody is welcome to come and have a coffee.
Okay,
And
what is the opening hours?
it's going to be from 9 till 5.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, full opening hours. Full, almost. Okay, cool. Okay, Ali, do you have any question, anything you would like to add?
All good for me. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much to give me this time and having me.
Cool, but my pleasure. So I see you anytime soon, I guess. And
Tomorrow,
bye,
yes.
everyone. See you. So see
Bye.
you next week for another discussion. And then on Wednesday and Sunday morning, I do coffee with people, mostly in French. So we're gonna navigate through English and French during those Instagram live. Ciao, Ali.
Ciao. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye.